Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to speak about a topic that is of interest to me and has been a little bit popular in Kenya, and that is the topic of universities raising their fees significantly, and specifically the University of Nairobi that has raised its school fees by at least 100% on some programs, postgraduate programs and undergraduate programs. Why is this of concern to me? This is because when you raise prices significantly, then there's some value that you'll be able to attach. For example, if you're going to double the price of a car, then you might as well provide more facilities in this car, more technology in this car, more drivability in this car, and more luxury in this car. But is this the case? Are universities increasing their fees because they're creating more value to the students? Are they increasing their fees because they are doing much more than considerable effort towards improving the lives of their students? Or are they increasing the fees simply to make more profit or bridge some of their negative losses? The true case is that they are adding these fees because they want to pay a little bit more in terms of the cost that they have incurred. They want to pay down some of the loans they have gotten. They want to pay down some of the expenses and the financial misgivings that they have had. And this is where the problem comes. You cannot increase the prices of commodities just because you are incurring losses. You cannot push out prices to the market just because you did not make a profit last year and you have not been making profits, and you, especially if you're going to increase the prices by more than 100%. It is economical suicide at any scale, and it's economical suicide especially where people can actually see value. And again, I may not be an authority in speaking about this topic, but I am a Kenyan graduate and I know the value that is given to Kenyan graduates, and in the process of acquiring knowledge, the things they actually receive. Of course, the other thing that I have to bring on board is what is the state of the current education. The first thing is university education, especially public university education, incorporates a lot of poor teaching. The quality of the lecturers that are sometimes available, not all of them, but a certain significant percentage is of people who are not good lecturers. They do not even appear for lessons. They actually skive these lessons. Some of them are so overworked and have taken so many side jobs and part lecturing jobs that they are not available to give 100% attention and output for these students. You can imagine you have gone to a lecture hall at 7 o'clock in the morning and the lecturer is not even there. They did not even consider sending a message and saying that they will not be able to make it. And you have stayed in the class, you did not even take breakfast, and you are waiting for the classes to begin, and there is no feedback that is given to you that they will not actually appear. And then they send a text to the class representative to tell them that, oh, I am not coming at 8:30 when the class was supposed to end at 9, sending at 8:30 that I am not able to come. However, you can get some documents that I have sent at a certain cyber where you can be able to print. Did you pay school fees so that you can come and print notes at a cyber and read on your own when the lecturer is not even available? That is the case that we are speaking about, poor teaching. The other thing is the issue to do with lost marks. The other issue of that has always been that you have lost marks, yet you start for an exam, or you have administrative issues with the university because of this and that. Maybe you registered for a certain course, but when you are doing the exam, you are not registered. Maybe you paid, but they are saying you did not pay. So many administrative challenges, loss of time because of administration, and as regards to marking of exams, such kind of issues. A lot of lost opportunities and a lot of difficulty when addressing this issue. Of course, the other problem that we have with education in Kenya, that it is forced to drill information in students rather than allowing them to be able to motivate them to be able to search for knowledge, to be able to try to acquire knowledge in an organic method. but rather they try to drill this knowledge into the students. And remember, once you cram for things, you will not actually be able to understand and use this information in a meaningful way in a work setup. And that is where we have half-baked university graduates. So they are a result of poor university education, this education that is actually increasing their fees. Of course, the other problem that we have in Kenyan university is there is nil research. In fact, you will be astonished by universities in many foreign countries actually make most of their money not from university fees, but from the associated research that they do that is profitable for companies, and they can be able to patent these new discoveries and new information to be used by other companies and make a profit margins. In fact, most of the vaccines and most of the things that solve problems, most of the engines and most of the improvements even in automotive industry come from universities. But what happens to Kenya? What form of research do they carry out? Do they produce, if it's an agricultural university, have they come up with new improved breeds of plants? Have they come up with new improved breeds of plants or of animals? Have they come up with things that actually they can be able to sell and patent and make money from it? Because there are so many opportunities, because this is a learning institution, it is a growing institution as regards to mental challenges and capacities, and should be able to produce new knowledge, new information, and new skills and ways of doing things. But are Kenyan university actually doing this? It is interesting because they always claim they do not have money to do the research, but they do have all the equipment, they do have all the laboratories, they do have the staff who are qualified, and they could be able to have talented students being involved in this research, be able to come up with new things that they can actually commercialize. But are they doing this research? And remember, universities around the world are ranked because of research, and universities in Kenya are poorly ranked because they do not produce any research, they do not create new knowledge, and they are always regurgitating old information from old books of authors who actually died. So that is the challenge with our education system. The other problem is there is always theft of cash. There's always mismanagement. There's always political squabbles. There's always political interference by politicians in these universities. There's always issues with student leadership. Those are the challenges that we face. No matter how much you add fees, no matter how much money you add to a pocket, as long as the pocket has holes, money will always disappear. And no matter how much in fees you increase, you will always have financial problems because you are addressing the symptoms and not the cause of these poor finances, which is misappropriation and theft of funds. So that is an issue that you need to address, and you cannot do plastic surgery to a wound that is actually festering. Of course, the other thing is that our Kenyan universities have a local mentality. You only think about competing locally. You only think about doing things locally. You do not have an international mindset. Universities in this day and age are not looking for students within their country, but they are looking for opportunities to be able to get students even outside the country. The question is, would a student from a developed country come into Kenya to study? Will they go to a Kenyan university? They wouldn't. Why? Because it has a lot of local contextualization. Even the universities that are offering online studies are not providing online studies that are available for the online people who are living and working outside the country. And remember, you cannot be fighting for 10,000 students in Kenya, for example, when there are 100 million other students that you could acquire internationally. So why do we have a local mindset and have a local thinking? We are always thinking about building buildings. We're always thinking about building hostels. We are not thinking about providing a package that is online, where there's lecturers, where there's a way where students can be able to enter into active forums, and they can be able to learn actively, and they can be able to do their exams online, and they can be marked online, and they can get the results online, a way that could be accessible and available to any person in and out of the country at the push of a button and at their convenience. This is something that they do not pursue, and it is a big opportunity that could make millions for these local universities. So they are always concerned about mortar rather than education, buildings rather than education opportunities that they could explore. Of course, the other thing is they need to understand that when they have this local mindset, when the economy of the country is bad, they are always limited by what they can actually do. But when you are working in an international concept, the microeconomic environment will always be providing opportunities in other places when other opportunities are closing off in other places. But when you have this local mindset, there will always be an issue. Of course, the other thing that we have an issue with adding fees is the level of joblessness. The question is, if I'm going to pay these double fees, if I'm going to pay these exceptionally high fees, am I even guaranteed a job at the end of the day? This is the questions that most students enter into. This is the question that most parents enter into. If I pay this amount of money, is it even worth it? Is it even something that could be able to provide a way for my children to be able to get a job? Is going to empower them? That is a challenge. You cannot add fees to an economy that cannot be able to employ at least 40%, that is unable to give jobs to 40% of the youths. So why do you add fees to such a bad, failing economy? Of course, the other thing is the funding gap. The question is, you are adding fees, but most students are actually dependent on loans, on student loans, on bank loans, on SACCO loans and things like that. And will this difference be bridged by these local financial institutions? Even HELB itself, the Higher Education Loans Board, cannot be able to give loans to all the students that are needy and they are willing to be able to do their studies. They are not able to do it. In fact, they are operating under low capacity, and even the budget that is given is usually giving them even a lot less money. And it is also compounded in the fact that most people are not even up to date on their loan repayments. So why are you adding fees when people cannot even be able to get funding to be able to pay these fees? Lack of wisdom and always just self-seeking on the part of the university's administration. You are competing against international universities. You are competing against universities that are able to provide fees. For example, a certain international university in Europe is offering a course in the same MBA and BCom, a master's program for the business students, is able to offer it at the same price. But the problem is, your university master's degree is where people are going to sit down after class with lecturers that may or may not appear, with marks that may or may not disappear, with a certain aura of trying to beg the teachers and the lecturers for their coursework and all these other things, and pushing around in terms of administrative issues. They are competing with this against this university that is able to provide these online studies at the convenience of the student and at a rate or at a speed that is convenient to this student. So if the student is too busy, they can be able to take their course for even 4 years. But yours is so fixated that they have to spend 2 years every other afternoon after work to study, and weekends, and again they are not even assured that they'll be able to finish because marks might actually be lost. Whilst they could be able to do this 4-year course, and because you are doing it at your convenience, at how much you can be able to pay and how much time is available for you to study, you can actually be paying slowly by slowly by slowly, and you can be able to study slowly by slowly by slowly at your own pace, with no limitations such as administrative issues with the university, and be able to get a university master's degree that is more recognized because it is from a more recognized university internationally. These are your competitions, not the local village polytechnic that you are trying to outsmart, not the other university in Kenya in another town that you are trying to show that you are the university. Those are not your competitors. Your competitors are out here and they have learned from Corona and they are innovating and they're providing programs that are going to outwit you and beat you at your game. Those are your competitors. So before you add fees, create value, because people will always pay if the value is right. You will always pay because you are seeing the value, and they will not even look at the amount, they will look at the value. So create value, bring consistency, and create a good name out there, because you are not competing with local institutions but international universities that are allowing Kenyans to be able to access all these programs at a good rate that is now in tandem with your improved rate, and give them accreditations that can be recognized internationally. I hope that somebody sees it, somebody acts on it, and somebody actually does a good thing to be able to help our local university actually improve their services. Thank you and enjoy.